You've probably gotten a message on LinkedIn from a recruiter saying, like, hey, I think this job is perfect for you. And you probably thought it was a bot. And most of the time, it's probably a bot. But the other times, recruiters can truly help you. This month's theme was all about recruiters. In episode 123, we talked about what recruiters are, how they can help you, how do they get paid. We talk about the biotech industry and how it is broken down in departments, what are the different positions you could look for, and how to optimize your LinkedIn profile to make yourself attractive to other recruiters. So if you're wondering what recruiters are or how can recruiters help you in getting the best job, this episode is for you, where we're gonna wrap up all 3 episodes that I've had with my friend JF and just give you tools and resources so you could learn more about all of this. Welcome to One in STEM podcast. I'm your host, Mary, and I'm so excited you're here. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you in the episode. So I'm just gonna get started. So the reason why I started the recruiter series is because I wanted to bring that information out there for you guys. Because when I started off in industry, I just felt like I did not know what a recruiter is. And so I think it's because of the lack of information. And so the reason why I created it is for so many reasons. One of them is because I wanted to explain to you in episode, which is in episode 1, what a recruiter is, why are there recruiters, sort of the dynamics between employer, recruiter, and then the person that's looking for a job, sort of how things get paid, how things get screened, how recruiters pick things. And the reason why I did that is because I feel like there are so many people out there that did not know that this is the process or this is how it works. And so having that in mind or having that information can really help you out to see like, oh, if a recruiter does reach out to you, you're not like, okay, no, I don't want to talk to you, but sort of talk to them, see what they have to do, and all that stuff. And then in episode 2, we do talk about the structure of industry, especially biotech companies. And so I feel like when I first started off in industry, I did not know the different structures or different departments to work in biotech. Mind you, like you could search it, but sometimes, like with looking for a job or looking what you want to do, you get so overwhelmed that you forget that you could just search the answers. And some of the times, it's not that clear. Like, even if you search, it's not as clear as you want it to be. But that's why I made this episode because I wanted to break down the different departments in a biotech company. We said there was research and development, quality control, business development, because when you're looking for a job, it's so important to know what kind of jobs you should look for. Because so many people, they just, including myself back in the day, I would like just go on LinkedIn and just like apply without really any game plan or goal or idea on what I want to do. And then later on, when I realized like, oh, I wanted to work more on the cell culture side and cell therapy side, that's when I narrowed down my search and then curated my resume based on that and then started applying. That's when I started getting interviews. And so I feel like for you, if you are struggling or if you don't know what you want to do, or when if you're applying to jobs and you're like, I'm not getting any answers, I'm not doing anything, my advice to you is take a step back and see what do you want to do. Even if you're an early grad or a senior in your undergrad, you're like, I don't know what I want to do. Take a step back and then think to yourself, okay, what did I like during my time in school or the internships that I've had? For me, in this case, it was cell culture, like anything that had to do with genetic engineering, cell culture, etc. So see what you like. It could be I'm more of a manufacturing person, or I'm more of a genomics person, or I'm more of like I love doing PCR, I hate doing cell culture. I love doing Western blots, I hate doing whatever. And so once you sort of narrow down what you like, then you could see, okay, these are the things I liked. In what department do I fit in? And so that's where we break down in the episode the different departments. And so If you're more of like a quality person, you'll be like, okay, based on my characteristics that I enjoyed doing during school, I fit more into quality. Or, for example, for me, I really liked research, I really liked cell culture. So, all my criteria, I fit in the research and development department, but then I narrowed it even down to go to the cell therapy department. So, once you listen to this episode and understand the different departments, that will help you understand what you want to do because, yes, you want to get a job. That's your ultimate goal is to get a job. But don't you want to get a job that you like and enjoy and you're actually doing the research that you want to do? So just take a step back and do that. And then the next thing is applying to the right position. There are so many times people apply to jobs that they're either overqualified for or underqualified for because they don't know the naming of the positions. And that's what we talk about in the episode, the different positions, the different names, like research associate 1, research associate 2, associate scientist. Once you know these, you will start getting callbacks because, as I said, there's one thing to just mass apply, but there's another thing where you actually narrow down your search and have intention. Have intention when you're applying. When you apply just to apply, it will never work. It will never work out. So just having that intention and applying and knowing where you want to apply to, because when you get an interview, like you want to know what you apply to, you want to be passionate about the work that they're doing so they could hire you on the team because if you're not passionate, they're not going to choose you. They're not. And they could tell through the interview whether you're passionate about the work or not. So that's why picking the department, the area you want to work on, the right position will help you land the job you need. And so with a recruiter, we talk about also how pay is different. Yes, in Boston, where I'm at, you get paid more than if you lived in Washington or if you lived in Seattle or if you lived in Idaho or wherever you live in, you get paid more in Boston because the life of living in Boston is more on the expensive side. And so when people ask, like, hey, do you make a good living off of biotech? You could raise up the ranks. You can make money. And that's what we talk about. We've talked about what different positions, what kind of money they make. I'm not going to spoil it. And this is a teaser for you to go watch episode 2. And so in that episode, we also talk about like the different pay ranges and how to negotiate your pays. Because sometimes you might feel, oh, I don't deserve this kind of money or X, Y, and Z. No, you are going to be worked to the bone. They are going to take advantage of you and how much you're willing to work. Negotiate and negotiate your salary. And if you have a recruiter, it's less awkward because they will negotiate on your behalf. But when negotiating, think of these different things. Option 1, see if they can raise the base salary based on the range for your job position. So always do your research. Don't go in blindly. And that's what the recruiter says. Don't go in blindly. Do your research. Know what the pay range is for your position. And once you know that pay range, they will give you an offer. And you're like, okay, this offer, where does it lie in the pay range? Is it towards the low end or the high end? And if it's towards the low end, then you know you have wiggle room to negotiate. And so you try to go either to mid range or high range, really depends on your experience and the years you have in industry. And so from there, that's like number 1. Try to negotiate your base salary based on the range that you have searched for. And if they say no, no wiggle room, ask for a signing bonus. If they say no, ask for more stocks or options within the company. Try or ask for more or ask for more PTO time. Try to play around these things because at the end of the day, you also want to be happy in the position you're at and you don't want to go every day into work feeling like they're taking advantage of you. That's sort of something that I've done personally to get an internship at a big pharma. And so through there, I did have to go through a lot of trial and errors to get into the pharma company. But I did it, I made it. And then after that, like I directly transitioned full time with that pharma company because my goal when I was an intern, I'm like, I want to be hired full time in this company. I want to at least stay a year or two here. I want to I want at the end of my internship for them to be like, okay, you have a full time job. Because one, I was too lazy that I didn't want to look for another job. Two, I was so scared of looking for another job because I did not know what I wanted to do. And three, it was just comfortable for me to do so. Um, and so that was my goal. And I was very fortunate that I worked hard. I got hired full time as a research associate too. And so I didn't really have to think about positions or naming positions to apply because it's just that's how the system at that big pharma worked. And so I was happy with it, got that position, and I was doing my job, all that stuff. And then I realized once I became stagnant and I wasn't growing or getting more responsibilities, I'm like, okay, it's my time to leave. But I never really took any actions just because I was like, a little bit scared. Back in that big pharma, I was working with T cells and NK cells, but I really, 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 really wanted to work with iPSCs. And so I was like browsing on LinkedIn and seeing the different iPSCs positions. And every iPSC position, they always, always, always required like you have to at least have an iPSC experience. Like you have to at least have cultured iPSCs. And I'm like, how am I going to get IPSC culture experience if I'm not working with IPSCs? And so I did apply to this one very, very small startup. It had like 8 people and they were working with IPSCs. And I was like, okay, hey, like I got an interview and everything. And then towards the interview, I always ask this question like, hey, what's one thing you're hesitant about to hire me? And that person flat out said, you don't have IPSC's experience and I don't want to teach someone how to do IPSC cell culture. And I'm like, it felt like a knife went through my heart. But anyways, long story short, I stopped applying. I just kept browsing, and then I got a message from a recruiter on my LinkedIn. And she was like, hey, there's this job about IPSCs at this startup company. I really think you're a good fit. And mind you, back in the day, I did not know what a recruiter was. I thought they were scams. I truly thought that it was a scam or it was people trying to get your information. No one taught me because I went through like industry on my own. I had no mentors, nothing. I was just figuring it out on my own, applying to different jobs on my own. So I was like, okay, recruiters are like probably scams or whatever. Didn't really reply or say anything to it, but she was describing the job that like had iPSC cell culture, CRISPR Cas9 editing, like all these things that that I wanted. I didn't answer. And then she sent me couple of weeks later, she sent me another LinkedIn message. She was like, I really, really, really think you are a perfect fit for this job. Please let us have a conversation and then see if this is a right fit for you or not. I'm like, okay, wait. She followed up. So she remembered who I was. She followed up. So one, it's not a bot. Two, she like sort of grabbed my attention. I'm like, let me just entertain this and see what happens from there. And so I replied to her and I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, can I learn more about the job? She walked me through the job and all that stuff. She's like, we have your resume so I could forward it to the company. I'm like, sure, here's my resume. She's like, oh, they loved your resume. They want to meet you, interview you. I'm like, okay, perfect. And then I like was taking these interviews in my mind. I'm like, this is not gonna work out. Like there's something at the end where it's just not gonna work out for me. I don't know why I had that thought, but after that, I got a full-time job. I worked with iPSCs and did gene editing and cell engineering, and I worked on the thing that I've always wanted to work on. And all thanks to that recruiter who reached out to me because I had my LinkedIn updated with all my pictures, all my like description. I had my resume attached in my LinkedIn profile. I had everything up to date. I like put all the keywords, like my LinkedIn profile was so picture perfect that even when like I was just browsing to look for a job and I didn't even have the open to work. So she still reached out to me and she was like, I think you're perfect for this job. come like apply. And I did, and I got the job. I'm telling you this story because like when I thought using a recruiter or that recruiter that was messaging me was a scam, it wasn't. And so that's why I'm like, if I thought that way, I'm sure maybe one other person out there might feel that way as well. And so let me do this recruiter series to fully understand that having a recruiter will help you. It won't guarantee you a job, but they will help you get that into that door. Because sometimes, yes, you're mass applying to a job on LinkedIn, it might have like 100 or 200 plus applications. But a recruiter, if you apply or if you have a good relationship with a recruiter, they will let your resume go to the top of these 200, at the top. And so the chances for you to get that interview is super, super, super high. A couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks maybe, or a week ago, one of my really, really close friends, I connected him with a recruiter. He's worked in the lab, he's worked in research, he's worked in process development and manufacturing. And so he wanted to do the transition from outside of the lab and be more on the business side and the business role of things. And so I was able to connect him with a recruiter who was looking for someone who had not a lot of experience in the business world, but wants to do that transition. And I connected with him, and my that friend, he has been trying for over 9 months, if not more, trying to make that transition. And he got shut down time after time after time after time after time. And he just gave up at some point. I'm not sure. I'm just saying those words. Maybe he gave up, maybe he didn't give up. But so after I connected him with that recruiter, he got an interview. And one interview led to another interview, led to another interview. And he just called me last week. He told me he got the job. And so recruiters are so helpful because they can help you find a job, they can help you get an interview. Because at the end of the day, it's all about you because you need to impress and you need to be like, hey, yeah, this is who I am. I'm super passionate. A recruiter could do so much, but they will help you get that interview and negotiate on your behalf. And that's what happened to my friend. The recruiter, which is actually Joan, who was on the podcast, helped my really close friend do that transition from lab to the business side. And I'm just saying that not just to be like, oh yeah, look at this. I'm just saying that biotech or industry or the STEM industry, it's a community. It's a community of people who want to help, who wanna see you succeed. The people who don't want to see you succeed, keep them outside of your circle. But it's a community of people who want to just help out. And so tap into it. Reach into that and use it. And while doing that, if you want to do grab a recruiter's attention, just make sure, and we talk about that in episode 3, that your LinkedIn is up to date. Like no one's going to reach out to you if you're not active on LinkedIn, if you're not up to date, you're not using technical words, you're not using technical lab skills on your platform. Like if you're not put together or making it work, or you look like a not a robot, because that's what Joan was talking about, you will get recruiters who reach out to you. Maybe, I don't know when you're watching this, maybe not in June 2025. The influx of recruiters reaching out to you is not the same when you were applying to jobs in 2018 because of the market and because of how the market is. But that doesn't mean that you won't get a job or you won't have a recruiter or you won't do anything. It will. Look at my friend. Literally last week, in a hard market, he was able to do the transition from lab to business. So I'm sure if whatever you're looking for, whatever it is, you will get a job as long as you seek that help, seek that community. And also, just that a side note, I also told my friend over the phone call, like, even if a recruiter helped you get that interview, but you didn't get that job, for example, knock on wood, you do get the job. But let's say you didn't get the job. Okay. It's always, always good to have your resume in the database of these recruiter companies because once they start getting more jobs or jobs that more fit your criteria, they will reach out to you and be like, oh, yeah, I remember you. Like, I have your resume in my database. And I remember you. You were looking for X, Y, and Z job. There's this opening. Are you still interested? And you say yes. And you get an interview and again. And maybe that job is your job. So, yes, sometimes you might go through the whole process with a recruiter. You might do all these things. But having your resume in their database is as important as getting a job because later on it will come in handy. Later on, you will use them. Later on, they will come to you at some point and they will be like, I think you're a great fit for this job. Would you want to interview? The same thing that happened to me. I really hope you enjoyed the recruiter series. I had a great time. I learned so much as well. And I'm very, 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 very thankful for having this platform to be able to share this kind of information with you. Because all I want to do is give you tips and resources and just help you out. Help you out because I told you, STEM is a community. And if you have no one, just know you have me, and I will help you as much as I can to get that information out there and make the unknown known because all I want to do is give you those tools. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe and share with a friend because the more you share, the more we're going to reach even more people and more people in the STEM world so we could try and give this information to everyone. Thank you again for listening to this podcast. See you in the next episode.